You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. My love was in ever again. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to give.
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. Derry Bennett, Quad Bennett, Michael Hasser, Carpet Packs, Heat. How's it going? Yes, shout out to Carpet. Thank you for joining us. Rip James Earl Jones. Yes. Yep. The voice of Mufasa, Darth Vader. And I didn't know he was in Conan the Barbarian, too. Thank you, Michael Hasser. Nice intro, thank you. I had to switch it up because for some reason it kept getting copyright struck, even though like the music that I was using, the music that I had as the intro for so long used to be that I used to have was actually made by my friend. And for some reason, I don't know if there's like some it hasn't happened before. It hasn't happened before, and I don't know why now I just kept getting hit with the strikes. So yeah, we just switched it up. I was tired of that music, and I'm usually okay with songs on repeat. Yeah, I didn't have any other ideas until now. Unfortunately, that's all I had, and that's the only thing I can think of that I thought was safe, but now I figured something else out. He was Thulsa Doom. Gotcha. Live debate is tomorrow night. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will be tomorrow. I'm thinking of doing a short stream tomorrow and then playing the debate on Discord. So basically the same playbook that I did last time. The same playbook that I did last time, where I just do a small, short, sweet stream, and then a couple of hours later, or whenever the debate starts, we will put it. We'll put it on Discord for those of you that want to. For those of you that want to watch the cringe, you are free. You are free to join us. In any case, the songs that I have for the intro came from Stream Beats, which is a copyright-free music source. So hopefully that will solve the issue. That'll be the end of that. It's also incidentally the same thing that I use as my background music. If you guys are able to hear, because I have it very low. I have it very, very low, or I should have it very low. The background music that keeps switching around is from Stream Beats. Sounds good. All right. A-Bond, welcome. Before we get started, folks, the usual disclaimer. Thank you all for supporting the channel. I see Cognizant gave a tier 1 sub for 29 months. 29 months. Thank you for the support. If you guys want to keep supporting the channel, there are many different ways. Consider also checking out the merch store, exclamation mark tip to tip your streamer. Join the Discord, folks. We do monthly movie nights every last Saturday of the month, okay? Make your voice heard. If you have any specific requests that you want to discuss, there is a channel for that on the Discord or a thread for that. Thank you for hanging out today. Let's get started, folks. I can faintly hear the music with good headphones on. Yeah, it's like very, very faint. I put it very, very low, just underneath everything. Yeah. That music is also Stream Beats. So, I figured it's time. It's time to change. It's time to change. Yeah, like a techno, like a techno heartbeat in the background. Yeah, it is. It is EDM. It's just very low. So now I gotta work through all the copyright stuff on the live streams, little by little, and I'm just gonna use this from now on. Voting for a movie best thing in my opinion. Yeah, we can do that. Just throw in the suggestions that you want to appear, so we can try to kind of put together something. Because, like, I'm okay with watching almost anything. Excuse me. I'm okay with watching almost anything usually, like comedies, action movies, sci-fi movies. I'm almost game for anything. Yeah, come make a suggestion so we don't have to come up with something exactly. Do our job for us, okay? Come on, chat. Do us the favor. Sci-fi horror is my jammies. You know, the new Alien movie supposedly was really freaking good. Something to consider. If you haven't seen it, like, I'm actually gonna post. If you're on the Discord, I'll tag you, Abond. There's they made a little image where you can actually watch all the Alien and all the Alien movies in the order that they're supposed to be in. So I'll post that graphic in the Discord. Okay, I think we're good to go, folks. Got everything going. Let's get started. Tomorrow, folks, tomorrow it's going to be a shorter stream. Just a slightly shorter stream so that when the debate starts, we can take a couple hours, go eat something, do whatever you got to do, and then those that want to join us on the Discord will be there. Prometheus should be at the start, I think. I think so, actually. Here, give me a second. I have alien plushie I used to sleep with to keep me safe. Ha! That's actually pretty freaking cool. Okay, I gotta find this later, but yeah, there's definitely an image so that you can watch it in order. All right, we got everything going. Let's do it. Now, I think we're probably gonna have to start. Oh shoot, did I forget? No, I got it right here. Okay, we'll probably start here.
I'm really interested in the project that you're working on now. I'm a little bit baffled by it, so I'm just going to answer my own question. So you were working on World War II, which has to be, even more than the Kennedy assassination, the most written about event in human history. I can't think of one that has occasioned more books. So why World War II?
It is going to be the most fruitful place that any aspiring historian can dive into, because we've spent the last 70 years, I mean, in Europe's case, like literally throwing people in jail for looking into the wrong corners, right? So there's so, and even
particularly in Austria.
So let me just be clear in case, like, not that it needs to be said, but like what he means is like Holocaust revisionism and denialism, right? Like what this dude was pushing in the Tucker Carlson interview was nothing short of Holocaust denialism and Holocaust revisionism. Absolute freaking clowns.
Right. And so even in the United
States, it was an
States,
invaded country, so I'm not exactly sure why it's so important.
Like all the questions that you're not allowed to ask, I will find the answers to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's a big topic, but I mean, even in the United States, where
Jesus, never beating the weird allegations.
Where you're not going to go to jail necessarily for doing that. You might have your life ruined and lose your job.
You might absolutely go to jail in this country
nowadays.
That's not true. Like, I'm just going to stop it right there. It's like absolutely not true. You will not go to jail in this country. You will not go to jail in this country for being a Nazi. Humanlaugh.exe. I only laughed like that when I had a crush. Does Tucker have a crush on this guy? Well, he's a Nazi, so yeah. Yeah.
You might, yeah.
I can imagine. I can imagine that's why he's fawning over this guy.
But you know, you could write a book. You could take any angle on it you want. You're not going to ever get a job or have a publisher want to publish it or anything, but you could do it. You can go out on the street corner and stand on a box and say whatever it is you think. But even still, you know, that event is really it's such a core part of the state religion that there are emotional triggers built into people since childhood that almost prevent them from taking an approach that might lead them to information or to conclusions that are not part of the state religion's version of that event.
Yeah. Anyone who prefaces something like that is like guaranteed about to say some Nazi shit.
That was a snippet from Tucker Carlson's interview with so-called historian Daryl Cooper, and the conclusions that he's talking about there regarding World War II is that the Nazis weren't so bad.
Yeah, like you can actually, like, not that it's like, you know, you can actually just watch more clips of this interview, and like, yeah, you don't even have to go that far, by the way. You can just look at this guy's account. You can just look at this guy's Twitter. This guy isn't interested in answering the real questions that nobody's looking into. Bro, he's just a Nazi. It's really just that simple. He's an anti-Semite.
literally. He argues that Winston Churchill, as opposed to Adolf Hitler, was the chief villain of World War II. And he also says that the Holocaust wasn't necessarily deliberate. It was more of an accident.
Oh, yeah. An accident. An accident where millions and millions of people just got genocided. Complete accident. Just a little whoopsie daisies.
I'm not making this up. As Mediaite explains, Cooper went on to make controversial claims about the Holocaust, suggesting
Controversial claims. I hate it when media does this. Like, I feel like there was a better there's a better way, right? Just call them straight up Nazis, dude. Yeah, it was bad logistics. That's what happened.
that rather than a deliberate plan to exterminate the Jewish people, it was an unintended consequence of Germany being completely unprepared to handle the millions of prisoners of war. I wonder why they were taken as prisoners of war. According to Cooper, millions ended up dead. They just ended up dead.
Yeah, they just ended up dead. Like they were alive and now they're not.
According to him, because there was no food to feed them, and German soldiers believed it was more humane to finish them off quickly.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so the Nazis were actually mercy killing them. Got it. Gotcha.
This is the outrageous shit that Tucker Carlson chose to platform. In other words, he thinks the Nazis kind of got a bad rap.
Yeah, and but to be fair, is this really any surprise coming from Tucker Carlson? What else did we expect from Tucker Carlson, right? Other than flat out Sieg Heiling, what else is missing from Tucker Carlson, right? Yeah, he's a straight up Nazi. To be fair, what exactly were we expecting from Tucker Carlson here? Yeah. So they were treating them like injured horses? Worse.
Yeah, this man is a Holocaust revisionist.
Yep.
That this guy, Tucker Carlson, decided to bring on his platform. And that interview was uploaded to Twitter.
Right.
And can you guess who shared this interview?
Oh. I know. The other Nazi. The one who actually owns the website. Amazing. I'm surprised there was no swastika flag as a prop. I mean, seriously, why he might as well. He might as well, cuz dude, you're just a Nazi, bro. You don't have to you're not hiding it. You don't have Fox News anymore as a crutch. Fuentes? That's a good guess. I'm thinking Elon.
Just take a wild guess. Chief Twit himself, Elon Musk. That's how bad Twitter has gotten.
Dude,
and
Twitter
side note, there was a viral photo of a little girl wearing a shirt with a swastika on it while she was sig hailing with the caption from, I'm assuming, her father, saying that she's being raised right. This kind of shit is...
Yeah, Twitter is just basically Twitter is just 4chan at this point in time. And the leader, well, it's actually more Twitter is mainstream. Twitter is mainstream Gab. If you've ever had the displeasure of going on Gab, first of all, don't sign up for that website. But it's just a Nazi cesspool. So Twitter is just mainstream Gab.
Common on Twitter.
And both owners, both the owner of Twitter and the owner of Gab are Nazis. So yeah.
Thanks to Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. But even some Republicans went out of their way to publicly condemn Tucker Carlson's Nazi apologia because, of course, yeah, this is bad. Republican Mike Lawler, for example, called it deeply disturbing that Tucker Carlson would platform a Holocaust revisionist. Don Bacon said there's no whitewashing Hitler's history of mass genocide. And look, I've just got to say, it's so bad when Republicans are coming out to say, yo, this right-wing propagandist that we're all cool with, actually, this thing that he did is bad. When they condemn their own, that it's bad.
Yeah, like the only reason it's like that is because it's too out in the open, right? Like I'm pretty sure that like if he was being a little bit more covert, they wouldn't care because they haven't for the past umpteenth years that Tucker Carlson has been around. Okay, it's just that he went a little bit too mask off, a little bit too forward. With the Holocaust revisionism and denialism. That's gross to think that there's worse out there than we see on Twitter. Yeah, there's some dark corners of the internet. Yes, exactly. Said the quiet part out a little too out loud. Gab disables comments on their Twitter posts. Of course. Of course.
But they're not alone because other right-wingers, they saw this and they thought, this is a little bit too far. So one of them was the Babylon Bee. They actually produced a satire article because this is a satirical comedy website. Whether or not you actually think they're funny, that's subjective. But they mocked Tucker Carlson for this, and they published an article titled, Tucker Carlson guest suggests Avengers were the real villains in Infinity War. And they shared the article on Twitter to promote it. Now, this is where we get to the meat of the story, because even though prominent Republicans condemn this since,
it's too, the quiet part was said too out loud. And like, of course, like, by the way, like, I'm pretty sure that he's going to go into this. But because of that, of the Babylon Bee, because of the Babylon Bee making, a statement against the Tucker Carlson interview, they got flooded with a bunch of Nazis again. This is like the third time that this has happened. Look, man, you guys, all of you on the right have like conjured this audience, okay?
This is a media figure who is associated with the Republican Party, and he's buddy-buddy with Donald Trump, the presidential nominee. So you kind of have to condemn this, both because it's morally outrageous and also because you want to save face if you're a Republican. So, they're against it. But just think about whether or not the Republican Party's base or regular conservative...
By the way, just like in heavy quotation marks, like against it. Yeah, but I never thought the leopards would eat my face. World War II was a fight over whose white supremacist capitalism would colonize the world.
On Twitter would be open to Holocaust revisionism in this day and age, especially, on Twitter, where they're bombarded with so much Nazi nonsense after Elon Musk emboldened Nazis and brought back the ones that were banned. Think about what they think about this.
They tried to kick Trump off your ballot.
Get out of here.
Save time. Easily connect your website to...
So, let's just talk about the response to that casual joke from the Babylon Bee, because it wasn't received too well by their own right-wing followers, people who purport to be fans of the Babylon Bee. See, when they make fun of,
they try to kick him off the ballot, but they didn't. They failed to mention the reason why. They failed to mention the reason why, because that would have been kind of very important. As we've covered, the ad failed to mention that the reason why they wanted to kick him off the ballot was because he incited an insurrection, and that is against the one of the amendments. I want to say like the third amendment. I don't know, article whatever. I'm blanking out. Shh. I'm blanking out right now.
marginalized people, trans people, when they make racist jokes, everything is copacetic. They love it. But when they make fun of, inbred racists, as they've done in the past, they get pretty pissed off. And now, after making fun of Tucker Carlson for doing Nazi propaganda, the Babylon Bee's right-wing followers weren't too happy. So here's some of the replies that they got. Weak and dishonest. Massive L. Y'all have lost the narrative. Go figure.
Yeah, and that's, by the way, that's like the mild comments, okay? I'm pretty sure that, like, he might get into some more. Oh, the 14th Amendment. Thank you. I was like, the 4th something? No, 14th. Got it. And yet several states refuse to take RFK off the ballot. Yeah, it's too late now. By the way, welcome, John Randa and Bipedal. These are mild comments, by the way. These are mild comments. Maybe he's gonna get into the more Nazi ones, but these were the mild ones.
Of course, these clowns have something to say. I have been a big fan of the Babylon Bee until they fell in line with the mainstream media talking points on this particular subject. The mainstream talking points being, that the Holocaust was bad and that Nazis are bad. I've yet to hear anybody refute anything that the man said. An inconvenient truth.
There's nothing to refute. He was literally like, there's nothing to refute. It was just a bunch of nonsense, right? Like, this is like the thing, like they try to make themselves out to be like some kind of pseudo intellectuals. Like, there's nothing to engage there. Like, it's all BS. The stuff that this so-called historian was talking about is all BS history. Just rewritten in his delusional alternative reality that occurred in his head. There's nothing to respond there. Yeah, they're in actual history. There's nothing. That's like saying like, curious. I've yet to hear anybody refute what that flat earther has said. Curious, an inconvenient truth is still the truth. No, bro, there's just nothing to engage with. There's no point. It's just Nazi bullshit.
Truth is still a truth. So, this user drank the Kool-Aid. Mm-hmm. Another person says, eat shit, regime lackeys.
And these are the calm comments, okay? These are the calm comments. Kamikaze, welcome. Aliens built the pyramids.
The Babylon Jew.
Oh, there we go. We're getting into the meat and potatoes.
Like the Bee, till I figured out it was just a bunch of Jews running a media company as usual. For those who don't know, the owner of the Babylon Bee, or the CEO, Seth Dillon, is Jewish, and they attack him because of it. The fact that you can only look at this through a lens of comic book morality proves his point. Or maybe it's because they were trying to make it easily digestible for you dipshits. But nonetheless, another person says, did Seth write this? Don't let him turn the Bee into the Onion, please. Jewish take. Maybe time to unfollow. Posts like this play right into Cooper's prediction about attacking the mythos of the war, proving him right ad nauseum.
No.
Yeah. And there's more, but you get the point. Don't want to belabor this any further. Nazis are mad that a right-wing satire site mocked Tucker Carlson for platforming a Nazi apologist.
Yeah.
And look, it's not really surprising because I expect Nazis to be mad about this. But what makes this especially disturbing is how open they are about it. And I just feel like if I'm the Babylon Bee.
Right. And like Elon Musk is completely like he's allowing all of this to happen. Like one of the largest Nazi accounts is a marble statue profile picture. I forget what they're called. It doesn't matter. They post Nazi shit all the freaking time. And they're a pretty large account on Twitter. And they're just like consistently posting Nazi shit. To be fair, there's like several of those. Carl Tuckerson is going to get a swastika tat any day now. The F Your Feelings crowd is sure all up in their feelings. Yep. Elon's grandpa was an anti-Semitic supremacist who published on it, so Elon admires him.
And I make a joke about somebody who did Nazi propaganda and my audience responded in that way, I would then maybe be a little bit introspective about the audience that I cultivated.
There's no introspection there. This has happened like 3 times that I can remember in the last year and something. In the last year and something that the Babylon Bee has done this. Like the Nazis have come out of the freaking, well, not even out of the freaking woodwork. They're already there, and start commenting on their posts. So no introspection has happened despite this happening several times already. Lack of introspection is pretty much the entire problem with the right. Yeah, among others.
I would question whether or not the information or the jokes, rather, that I've been putting out there are actually being received in the way that I want them to. I mean, some of them are because they're just downright racist, right? They made a joke about Vivek Ramaswamy running a 7-Eleven or something, White House 7-Eleven. Yeah. I forgot what the joke was, but they got applauded by the right. So, when you build up a right-wing racist audience, don't be surprised when they turn on you when you try to give them something that's actually, true, that Nazis are bad. Now, prior to Elon Musk's takeover, this much Nazi shit wasn't a common phenomenon. It happened, it was there to be sure, but it wasn't ubiquitous.
Right, and all the Nazi accounts that did exist, to the extent that they did, they had to always keep it at least attempt to put some kind of veil over it, dog whistles, innuendos, whatever you want to call it. Dog whistle. There you go. They had to at least, Jinx. They had to at least make an effort, right, to hide the Nazi shit. But now they don't have to. They don't have to because the owner, incidentally a Nazi, is just constantly replying to them, reposting, and sharing their posts. Right, yeah, when the dog whistle stops. Welcome, Mitt Nerd. But the others tend to stem from not being able to look inward and ask themselves if they might be wrong. I think a lot of this comes from this kind of cult mentality, right? It kind of comes from the cult mentality, right? Because for fascism to work, you kind of need to be that way, right? There's no room. There's no room for introspection or questioning the dear leader or the party. There's no room for that. There's no room for critical thinking because then it falls apart. So it kind of has to be that way.
Right? And that's a really bad sign that it's so common now because obviously it's dangerous. We have Donald Trump and the Republican Party normalizing racism and extreme xenophobia. And then we have Elon Musk using his social media platform to normalize Nazism. There's no longer a social disincentive to coming out to being a Nazi. I mean, you probably can't do this at your job, but on the internet.
Yeah, you won't get banned for being a freaking Nazi on Twitter. Like I said, I've seen pretty decently sized Nazi accounts just straight up posting Nazi crap. There's no dog whistle, there's no innuendo, there's nothing. It's just straight up Nazi shit. And I've managed to block as many as I can, but they still pop up. By the way, they still pop up, and when you have the owner of Twitter, replying and constantly elevating these voices, there is no disincentive. They know that they're going to be okay. They're not going to get banned. They're not going to get shadow banned. They're not going to get timed out or whatever, suspended. So there's no incentive to even attempt to hide it.
It's pretty easy to just come out as a Nazi, and if anything, you'll be rewarded and not condemned. They'll praise you for being a bold truth teller, and you can cry censorship if you're banned for engaging in the type of violent eliminationist anti-Semitic rhetoric that Nazis tend to engage in. But more often than not, Nazis don't explicitly say that they're Nazis. They use doublespeak and coded language. They do what Tucker Carlson does and just dabbles in a little bit of Holocaust revisionism.
Not anymore. Well, not on Twitter anyways. You don't have to. On Twitter, you can be as Nazi as you want to be. If you have the Shinigami Eyes extension, you should mark them as anti-trans before blocking. Huh. I didn't even know that existed. Manage extensions. No, I want the web store. Oh, I see. Huh. That's pretty cool. Trans-friendly people appear green and anti-trans are red. Do I have to close my web browser and open it up again? I don't think so. Maybe you refresh Twitter and see if that does it. I'll have to take a look at this. A-Bond with the tier 1 sub for 12 months. Look at that. The black ADT badge. It is yours. Hmm. Be interesting to have like 8 name color alteration programs that just work together, taking a section of the name, and if there's a person part of multiple anti-groups, their name ends up looking like a rainbow. I'll have to take a look at it, why it's not working. Maybe it's only is it for Twitter too? Or is it only like I'll have to take a look at it.
Some more denial from time to time while not explicitly endorsing it. Listen, as a society, we're going down a very, very dangerous fucking path. But I will say that I was a little bit hopeful, just a little bit, after looking at the comments underneath Tucker Carlson's video. Because while there were some people who were elated to see their favorite historian, and historian is a charitable word, this man is a fraud, not a fucking historian, to be clear, but they were elated to see their favorite historian and commentator team up. But that was the thing, although there was also a lot of skepticism and people who were criticizing Tucker Carlson for not pushing back. So the silver lining, I think, is that normie Republicans who happen to be fans of Tucker Carlson because of his racist and xenophobic stance aren't necessarily automatically predisposed to accept outright Nazi apologia. So, you know, this was, I think, Tucker Carlson dipping his toes in that pool. But I mean,
I don't know. Tucker's been there for quite a while. Tucker's job is to make you accept. Is to make you accept Nazi stuff. Without even realizing, like, where do you think all this starts, right? It starts with like, oh, well, maybe some groups of people need to be looked at differently than others. Yeah, Tucker has a Nazi jacuzzi. What browser are you writing? Looking to see if there's any known issues. Chrome right now. Shinigami Eyes is good for Chrome or Firefox, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I installed it. It just... Is it only for certain websites, or is it for Twitter as well? Tucker has a Nazi Olympic-sized swimming pool. Twitter, got it. I have to see why it's not showing up.
I mean, if it's too explicitly pro-Nazi, Tucker Carlson turns off his base. He has to go back to the dog whistles and the dabbling. And I guess that gives me hope because there's still a knee-jerk reaction among at least some conservatives when they see obvious Nazi apologia. That's good. That's something that maybe we can work with. Hopefully, we lost them on racism and xenophobia, but maybe outright Nazism is something that can still be prevented. But again, on the flip side, that's still the problem. Most people tune into Tucker Carlson because they do like his explicit racism and fascist takes on immigration.
Right, which kind of leads them down to the same path anyways. And also, like, it is true that I would argue that it is true that some of these people may not be outright Nazis, but they'll still vote Republican. They'll still vote for Trump.
So if he's already been able to sell them explicit racism and overtly fascistic takes on immigration, then how long will it take for him to warm them up to Nazism as well? I mean, this is the guy that popularized the white supremacist great replacement conspiracy theory, and now that's kind of a mainstream take in a lot of Republican circles. So how long until a lot of conservatives are just openly denying the Holocaust, or they're believing this type of revisionist bullshit? It's really alarming. When Nazis start coming out of the closet and far-right parties start winning German elections for the first time since 1945, maybe that's a sign that we should start to take the global threat of fascism seriously. Because remember, Twitter doesn't exist in a vacuum. Users around the globe are exposed to the same Nazi propaganda that we're all seeing as well. So, I don't know. Maybe we should be a little bit concerned, but do with this information what you will.
Yep. Well, I can go around and select accounts for marking them as safe. So I guess that works. As long as I can mark accounts as safe or not safe, then that works for me. I just don't see like the little highlights, but it does let me select like whether or not I want to mark these accounts. Do you know who Jesse Gender is? Yes. People like her should appear green because of how many other users have marked them friendly. Right, but like it doesn't. Like it gives me the option of doing stuff. And Shinigami Eyes America's friendly. Yeah, like you can do that, but it doesn't appear. Like, it just looks like normal Twitter. Unless I'm missing something. Yeah, it does need to restart or refresh. Maybe. Programmer copy packs I was seeing there, if there may have been an issue that could cause it not to work correctly. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it's like something that I could just like restart all of Chrome after I'm done. Maybe after I'm done for streaming, I can like launch it. But it does let me do the thing. It does let me select like links and profiles and mark them as I need to. So that's good enough for me for now. Because at least at least I know that I can do that. Pretty nifty. I didn't know about this.
Vance was on stage, Turning Points USA. Turning Points. I've heard that recently in the news.
It's odd,
Wasn't
yeah.
somebody working for Turning Points that was
named in this federal indictment?
Yeah.
Whoopsies. I didn't see any comments or messages that said anything, so I can only think maybe related to a restart. Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Oh.
Anyways.
Well, I just can't even.
Charlie Kirk is interviewing JD Vance, and they are attempting again, right? Like, there's nobody in that Turning Points audience who cares about childcare. Honestly, there's nobody.
I mean,
nobody.
Yeah, they want the women in the home. Childcare, please. That means that you're probably a bit of a mouthy broad going out there and making
can
big
the
bucks.
state enforce patriarchy?
I mean, it's honestly, it is completely antithetical to everything that JD Vance has been talking about. I mean, JD Vance is on record saying in about 5,000 different locations, if you are a woman who's pursuing a career, you're being sold a bill of goods. You should be at home with a family. Otherwise, your life has no meaning. I mean, that's just his.
That's his
ideology.
Policy, yeah.
But they're stuck with like, wait a second. It's not weedy enough to simply cite some form of religious fundamentalism as a policy statement. We've got to pretend like we're doing policy, and so that we can claim that Kamala Harris is not doing policy. And so Charlie Kirk asks about childcare, and the one thing that amazes me about this, I mean, just over and over again, is like, does JD Vance do no prep for any of this?
No.
Like, it just sounds like he's winging it. And it's not like he couldn't say to Charlie Kirk, Charlie, what are you going to ask me about?
Well, because this is also gesturing at something that Vance wants to employ, which is this Viktor Orban style vision of a society where, like, he tried to outflank Harris with saying, I will make the child tax credit $5,000 in the first year of a child's life. And she came out and said, okay, I raise you one. I'll do $6,000, because he doesn't mean what he says. He didn't show up to the vote for the expanded child tax credit. What he wants to do is use children as propaganda objects to sell a Christian theocratic vision for the country, which is what Orban has done, as you know, and they emulate him, where it's like using the government with tax credits and things like that to keep women in the home, and also to privilege heterosexual couples by making them subject to like these tax benefits. That's their vision, but they don't want to say that because it's a minoritarian vision, as it is for the entirety of their platform.
Correct. Why would he bring that up? Republicans are terrible about childcare. Right.
And here is Charlie Kirk with that question.
Can we do about lowering the cost of daycare? Hayden, obviously a working family, and it's very hard for working families to get by. How will we lower the cost of daycare?
It's such an important question, Charlie. And I think one of the things that we can do is make it easier for family models to choose, or for families to choose whatever model they want, right? So one of the ways that you...
What does that mean? Exactly. Like, that's just gobbledygook.
might be able to relieve a little bit of pressure on people who are paying so much for daycare is make it so that you know, maybe like grandma or grandpa wants to help out a little bit more.
I see. Just one little problem, just one tiny little problem. Just one. Hey, real quick, Senator, what if there are no grandpa or grandma? I've got none. New concept no one has ever tried before.
Maybe there's an aunt or uncle that wants to help out a little bit more. If that happens, you relieve some of the pressure on all the resources that we're spending in daycare.
Pause it for 1 second.
Thank you. Phenomenal response, JD Vance. Yeah, dude, like just get like your family. Yeah, okay. You know, maybe you've got like maybe you've got grandparents, maybe you've got cousins, aunts, uncles. We've got a plan to let you rent someone else's grandma. It's gonna be great. Yeah, sounds good to me. I don't claim mine anymore.
Second. Now wait. Now what? Now the policy is what? Is the government?
Yeah, the government's gonna let have a government mandated family member. I don't either. Like they would. Most of my family lives in another state. Yeah, like most of my family doesn't even live in this country. Okay. Like what is the government's answer to that? Okay. What is the government's answer to full-time working parents who need freaking help? Okay.
Government now saying that grandma and grandpa can't provide daycare for the kids, or is he? The interesting thing is, I would be okay with some type of like
correct footlong
government support where you're like, we will actually subsidize grandma and grandparents with doing that.
Yeah.
Or, family members. Like, it's very contentious when you have family members who are taking care of like their elder parents in terms of like, Medicare reimbursement and whatnot. Is he saying loosen that up, or is he just saying, hey, man, have you thought about some of your relatives taking care?
Because, my parents love taking care of their grandkids. I don't know. I think they also like the ability to not do that and enjoy their retirement.
No. We're going to mandate.
Yeah, exactly. Work overtime, sweaty. How are they going to babysit when they also have to get a job? Yeah, put the children to work so they don't have to be watched. Easy. Phenomenal. Didn't Trump say you can't borrow $10K from your dad when he was president? Oh, man.
Listen, if you do it once, Grandma, you got to do it every day, starting at 8:30 a.m. I want you here.
Clock in.
Do you see just like the levels of conditions that need to be in place for this vision to be there? You need to live in proximity to grandparents or to uncles and aunts that are willing to do this.
Right, like that's the point that I was trying to bring up, right? Like, man, what if you just straight up don't have grandparents or family that's nearby or just at all that's able to do this? Like,
that are able to do this. Like the Republicans want to raise the Social Security retirement age right now. Which is a cut to Social Security, which means that grandparents are working even longer. So one, you have to be living near them. They have to be alive. They have to be willing to do so. They have to have the financial means to be able to take care of your kids without having to work. And you have to have a good relationship with them. And like that does not apply to a majority of people.
But here's the thing. If the conditions were right anyways, people are doing this.
Yes.
It's not like somebody's at home watching TV going like,
I never thought about that.
Holy crap.
Right.
Of course. In fact, my folks live with us. Why didn't we ask them, honey, what's wrong with us? JD Vance has just shown us the light.
Silicon Valley,
Go
baby,
back.
coming up with all the innovation.
Yeah, total disruptor, this dude.
Model they want, right? So one of the ways that you might be able to relieve a little bit of pressure on people who are paying so much for daycare is make it so that maybe like grandma or grandpa wants to help out a little bit more.
Oh,
Maybe there's an
okay.
aunt or uncle that wants to help out a little bit more.
I promise I've not watched this before. Exactly. My dad had passed away when I was a teen. Sorry to hear that.
That happens, you relieve some of the pressure on all the resources that we're spending in daycare. Now, you talk about just daycare.
Swear to God, those sound effects just get me every time. Let's just say it right out. The abortion issue is really that the Republicans don't want people to have even to have sex. Yeah, well, I mean, they need to have the like the right state sanctioned sex.
Let's say you don't have somebody who can
Now,
provide
just get a loan from your parents for college territory. Yep.
that extra set of hands.
Pause it. No, what? No, now we're getting into it. This guy's a deep thinker. Yeah, maybe you haven't thought about having your relatives take care of your kids. And if you haven't thought about that, you should think about it. But in the rare instance that can't happen, here's my idea.
Let's say you don't have somebody who can provide that extra set of hands. What we've got to do is actually empower people to get trained in the skills that they need for the 21st century. We've got a lot of people who love kids, who would love to take care of kids.
Pause it. Incidentally, I just want to go back.
What?
A little bit. Like, you can tell this guy's never even given this topic one iota of thought, because the issue with childcare, not just a 21st century position. I just want you to know
It hasn't been modernized enough?
No, it's like, yeah, childcare, like, we need to have robots do it. Mm-hmm. What is he talking about? We need to train people for 21st century skills? Childcare is not a 21st century skill. We actually need it in the 20th century too. I believe
this. It's a quarter over the 21st century. Can we retire that?
It's so silly. But I remember when I was touring, when I first started doing this job in 2016, when I think we might have been in Pennsylvania or Michigan. This is when I kind of figured that Hillary had a good chance of losing. But we were interviewing people, including childcare workers. And I remember this one particular woman saying that basically it's a struggle for her to stay out of poverty. And she's a full-time childcare worker, and she works crazy hours, double shifts, and things like that.
Well, maybe that's what he's going to offer.
He's going to offer higher pay for them.
Extensive job training and maybe a universal child care program like we actually had in the American Rescue Act, where we were subsidizing thousands of child care facilities across the country.
Correct. Damn it, Matt. It just made me feel old. Yep, childcare requires a PhD in child development to be hired. True. New York Times, Siena, college poll is not a right-wing poll. Used to have Kamala ahead, but now Trump ahead. When you look at the number one issue at the poll asks about the economy, Trump leads Harris by at least 6 points. Cool. Yeah, I know. It's a back and forth.
We rolled that back. That's why this is actually an issue now. It got rolled back because in Build Back Better, it was cut out to deal with Sinema and Manchin and stooges like his colleagues in the Republican Senate. But here it is. Here's the he's going to come in with some funding, I bet.
Yeah, that's
actually empower people to get trained in the skills that they need for the 21st century. We've got a lot of people who love kids, who would love to take care of kids, but they can't, either because they don't have access to the education that they need, or maybe more importantly, because the state government says you're not allowed to take care of children unless you have some ridiculous certification that has nothing to do with taking care of kids.
All right, pause it right there. I want you to, do we have that link? This is from Monroe College in...
You should have PhDs in pediatrics, child psychology, and development before having kids. Yeah, exactly. Well, vacancy gets you nannies if you pay $150K a year. You can even get those nannies if you pay $150K a year. We want more people to be chained to a family dynamic that works for the economy, but not necessarily for families, actually. Right. Or children, or, yeah.
This is this is New York State, right?
Oh, I'm blinded by the red tape.
Child care training, professional development for licensed and registered programs. Now, if you're a parent, you probably understand why you might, if you're going to hand off your kid
red tape
to a facility, you're going to want something there. Now, in New York State, I believe it is, if you have a child care where you're just taking care of 3 kids or less, you don't need any of this. But if it's more, you need, and this is pretty onerous stuff. Let's go down. What are the New York State requirements? Roles and training. Okay, if you're a child daycare provider, Your role is to attend training and keep accurate records, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. What is needed to, the training credits keep going down. Where was that? It was 30 hours you need of training.
Cognizant, welcome. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, by the way. Wives and mothers are just unpaid labor. Don't get me started. Oh, no, I agree. It's not back and forth. That's just your take. No, that's just the aggregate of polling, not just one poll. You can try to latch on to this one poll as much as you want. But yeah, the truth is it's back and forth. The truth is it's a pretty even race at this time. So yeah, price control is also a very good idea. Despite what anybody says, price control, especially price controls on groceries and food, are a very good idea. In fact,
here it is. Yeah. Okay. Upon request from the office, you must be able to show proof of compliance with 30 hours of training needed
30
in
hours.
a 2-year period.
Well, I just can't even.
So you could do the math, an hour and 15 minutes a month of training to be qualified, but you need to have proof. And you have 2 documents, 2 forms to track your program and see the individual hours.
I thought the Republicans.
Now, you can also have credential programs where you can get a child development associate credential, which is the most widely recognized credential in early child education. And that's a career of advancement in early child education. But you don't need that for daycare. You can get a program administrator credential if you want to set up your own daycare. But if you need to just work in a daycare facility, all you need to do is do that 30 hours worth of training.
I thought that the Republicans were the ones that wanted to protect children. So they want less regulations in daycare. Do people remember?
They also have background checks.
I forgot about that.
You have background checks.
Do you remember
to make sure that you've not been fired from different places or?
dude, stop it. Also, if we go back to a prior story that relates to this, so tell me what proven qualifications does a religious counselor have? Yep. Dude, stop, like, copy-pastaing it. Yeah, sounds like cop training.
That you have any type of like offense in terms. I mean,
I remember reading about this. I wasn't alive for this, but the McMartin preschool trial, which was that satanic panic trial in the 1980s, where the entire right was obsessed with the idea that ritualistic sexual abuse was happening to children at daycare facilities. This was a right-wing driven hysteria. Now, you know, the Republicans would never do that, right? In the modern day, in 2024, they would never have conspiracy theories about children being preyed upon by people in schools or things like that.
No, but in pizza stores.
Oh, that's also, I did hear about that one.
Right, it was happening in Christian homes.
But they would never, like, in the year 2024 or 2023, make entire presidential campaigns about children being groomed or molested in schools or anything like that. Like, how is this compatible, this vision? Well, it's because it's libertarianism and they don't want to think about raising money to actually make people's lives better via taxation. But this is not a compatible vision with the protect children idea from the Republicans.
No.
Do we have, like, more 20 more seconds?
Ridiculous certification that has nothing to do with taking care of kids. So empower people to get the skills they need. Don't force every early child care specialist to go and get a 6-year college degree where they've got a whole lot of debt and Americans are much poorer because they're paying out the wazoo for daycare. Empower working families, empower people who want to do these things for a living, and that's what we got to do. All right,
Empowered. Amazing.
Empower them by cutting
We're doing nothing.
Standards.
Doing nothing. First of all, he's making up the standards. I mean, maybe it's different in some other state. Maybe California or Massachusetts has stricter requirements than New York State. But I am willing to bet everything I own that the state of Tennessee, for instance, does not have stricter requirements than New York State.
Yeah.
With all due respect to Tennessee. Speaking of Tennessee,
that goes so far beyond the pale, I just can't even.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every.
Yeah, don't even bother deleting the comments. Just time them out. Yeah, just time them out, because like you'll get the comments done anyways. Just don't even bother deleting the comments. Just time them out. I understand now. Their username is literally NYC Wise Person 45. This is like some Trumper dude. It's okay. Just time them out the next time. Yeah, there you go.
Why does Uber win? Well, because it's rigged in their favor, right?
In 2023, a law professor published a paper with shocking implications. Her research found that tech firms like Uber and Lyft were using secret algorithms to dictate what drivers earn, based on factors we can't even see. She called it algorithmic wage discrimination. And this technology, or revolution, isn't restricted to rideshare companies.
Once that technology is in there, they can raise prices. On a hot summer day, I want a lot of ice cream, I want lemonade. They're running low, they can raise the price.
The price.
Yeah, remember when, was it Wendy's? Was it Wendy's that they threatened to do like surge pricing, and everybody like flipped on them, and they were like, nah, we're not doing it anymore. Yeah.
Of milk, even your paycheck, the very fabric of our economy, all controlled by invisible and unaccountable algorithms. So about a year ago, I started reaching out to the companies. They largely denied it, only to contradict themselves.
Yeah, Wendy's is doing it. Got it. Yep.
A few months later. Then I reached out to the academics. And one of the frustrating things was that the evidence seemed to be in the shadows. A single study.
Supply doesn't even have to run low as long as the demand increases, right? Like, say, at lunchtime, in the Wendy's example. By the way, I actually took this time, not that troll deserved it, but I actually took the time to, like, look at, like, how the polls look. And it's pretty friggin' even. Like I said, tie, +1 to Trump, which is the poll that he's referring to. +2 to Harris on the previous one. +1, +3, +3, +4. Like, come on, man. This is obvious. Like, that this race is incredibly freaking close. It's incredibly close, favoring Harris. Jesus Christ.
A hint in an earnings call. A story from a driver. It was mostly theoretical. Until a few months ago, when I got an email from a guy. I had published a video that argued Uber's newfound profitability came at the expense of drivers and riders. He said, we were at the tip of the iceberg. So I called him. We talked. 3 weeks later, I was on a flight to Los Angeles, looking to settle the question once and for all. Are rideshare companies offering drivers different rates for the same work? What I found put the legality of this whole tech revolution in question.
They have broken every single local, state, federal law when it comes to labor, when it comes to transportation.
That's Sergio.
I don't doubt it at all. And like somehow they're allowed to get away with it, which is wild to me.
He sent me the email. He's an experienced driver and a senior contributor at The Rideshare Guy, an influential resource for gig economy workers.
We were used to something called a rate card. We were used to getting paid by time and distance.
Then, overnight, the transparency vanished, replaced by a secret algorithm that takes into account potentially hundreds of different variables. They called it upfront pricing. Uber's losses turned to profits around that same time. Coincidence? I don't know. Lyft followed suit, and now they claim they're on the path to profitability.
The algorithms are set up in a way to charge the rider as much as it's possible and to pay the driver as little as possible.
Correct.
A lot of drivers feel Uber.
They've been an illegal cab company from the beginning. Walmart is also propositioning to do surge pricing. Yeah, if they do surge pricing, like, I'm sorry, nope. I will not go there. The only polls that matter are battleground state polls. True, or at least they have more weight. At least they have more weight into like kind of seeing where the election will go.
Lyft are paying different wages for the same rides. But we don't really know because the companies, they aren't talking.
We're doing a very simple thing. We're picking up people point A to dropping off point B. I shouldn't make less money than the next guy. I should not. But because it's not regulated, because we don't have rate cards, because we don't know what we're going to make, trip to trip, it's demoralizing, it's upsetting.
So with Sergio's help, we decided to test it. Different rates for the same rides. At the start, each driver will activate their screen capture software, open up the app, and place their phones on the table. Why the table? Sergio has done similar experiments, and the rate disparities were blamed on location differences.
I only do short distance trips. To the extent that I have used it in the past, same. A few solid red states are turning purple. Some poll. I'm imagining you're saying some polls have shown. Yes.
He's getting paid.
Like I was saying, Footlong, it's a very close race. No doubt about it. It's a very close race.
$1 more if he goes there, according to the map, and nobody else is. Nobody else is seeing that dollar surge.
We found that Uber offered the same rides 46 times to multiple drivers. 63% of the time, one of the drivers was offered a bit less money for the exact same ride.
Wow.
They want to make few pennies difference, and few pennies on 2.7 billion trips a quarter, which is from the last earnings report, is millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Lyft was even worse. The price gap wasn't just a little off, it was a lot off. We saw differences of up to $3 to $4 after bonus.
That's wild. I look at a lot of polls, so I jokingly called it pole dancing. I thought it was a play on words. That's wild. And I thought Lyft was honestly like cheaper. Then again, I haven't used these rideshare apps in like years. It must have been like 3, maybe, yeah, like about 3 years now. Maybe a little bit more. The last time I had to use a rideshare app, I'm pretty sure I used Uber, was because my car was in the shop and I had no other way of getting to it. But that's wild. That's what, $4? What's the bonus though? Including a $3.25 bonus, but like why? If it's the same ride, like why do they get a bonus in the exact same circumstance? Is it because they like did more rides and after like 100 rides you get a bonus? I don't know.
And drivers don't know why one person gets a bonus and another doesn't.
Oh yeah, like there you go. It's completely arbitrary. If you don't know why you're getting that bonus, then like they're just making stuff up. No rideshare nor even taxi, to be honest, mostly because of where I live. I've never used one before. Remove the bonus and the prices are identical. Yeah, but like why though? If the drivers aren't being like told why they're getting a bonus, why driver X is getting a bonus and driver Y is not getting a bonus, that's just wild.
Well, that adds up like on 30 trips to $10 a day. That's $300 a month. Why should I get paid less $300 a month?
Because like, if at least Uber or Lyft would come out and say like, okay, well, this person got a bonus because they did 50 rides in 1 hour or whatever. I'm just making stuff up. That seems absurd. 50 rides in 1 hour. I guess. No. Yeah, it's absurd. But the point being is that like there's no standard. How can it incentivize without the logic? Yeah.
Then the other guy.
Probably trying to incentivize people that don't do it as much for some kind of insurance purpose or something. Maybe.
Contacted Uber and Lyft to see how they would calculate fares. Lyft, well, they never responded. Uber directed me to a blog post. When I explained the experiment's results, they replied by copying and pasting a portion of that same blog post. The section outlines different reasons drivers could see different fares. But we controlled for everything that we could. We called the drivers to the same space, placed their phones inches apart, had drivers monitoring incoming promotions, and constantly refreshing their screen. The only thing we didn't account for was any secret test Uber could have been running at the time, which we couldn't because the fare algorithm is secret and the test is secret. There's a whole lot of questions here, like mainly, is this legal? And there's no laws against algorithmic wage discrimination. That article I mentioned at the start suggests that opaque algorithms can easily facilitate violations of anti-discrimination laws. Uber denies this, but their own research reveals a glaring disparity.
Probably trying to incentivize people that don't do it as much for some kind of insurance purpose or something. Yeah. Should be clear unless it's muddy on purpose. Oh, it's definitely muddy on purpose.
Drivers earn 7%.
Yeah, to stop at the airport and people pile out like one of the clown out of the car like one of those clown shows.
Less than that. Potentially due to algorithmic wage setting. But there's an argument that the entire business model is illegal.
From our perspective, Uber's and Lyft's business model is based on control without responsibility.
That's David Seligman. He's the executive director of Towards Justice, a legal nonprofit that defends workers from corporate overreach. In 2022, the organization helped lead a lawsuit on behalf of 3 rideshare drivers.
The lawsuit says if you are not an employer subject to and accountable to your workers under the labor laws, then you are powerful firms that are abusing your power under state antitrust, competition law, and unfair and deceptive acts and practices laws.
David is describing the cognitive dissonance rideshare operators have when classifying drivers. They want to have it both ways. Uber and Lyft classify drivers as independent contractors, not employers.
Right.
A crucial distinction. As an employee, you're making money for someone else, which means benefits, protections, and a boss who can tell you what time to show up. But as an independent contractor, you're supposedly making money for yourself, with no benefits or protections, but freedom. You're your own boss.
If these drivers are, as you say, independent, then they need to have true economic independence. We allege that the companies have denied them that economic independence, most importantly, by taking away their ability to set prices for themselves.
But right now, Uber and Lyft set prices for riders and wages for drivers to maximize one thing.
Their profits. That's a very good freaking point. Like, if they're truly independent contractors, then they should be able to set their own rates, right? You have to drive each person for like 30 seconds.
Their own profits. Drivers are left out.
Uber and Lyft are saying we're not one company, right? We're just a platform, and all of our drivers are independent business people.
Yeah, and if you're just a platform, then how come I can't set prices if I wanted to be an Uber driver?
Under our antitrust laws, they need to have the economic independence to set their own prices.
We heard something similar at our roundtable discussion after the experiment. Every participant wanted to be an independent contractor. They like the freedom. They also want Uber and Lyft to treat them like actual independent contractors.
When I don't have a control over the pricing and you keep calling me an independent contractor, there's something very wrong with that picture.
And for drivers dependent on the rideshare platforms to make a living, it's hard when you're making under minimum wage.
Especially for people that do this full time. In California, they're working 70 to 80 hours just to put food on the table, which is really, really rough.
And you look at who's on the board of both of these companies, it tells you that we have nobody on our side, right? When the general counsel of Uber is Tony West and he's the brother-in-law of Kamala Harris, then it tells you that these companies are tight with government. Why does Uber win?
Of course.
Well, because it's rigged in their favor, right?
Of course.
There's a reality where drivers could be actual independent contractors, set their own rates on these platforms, and compete for your business. But that's not our world. Yet. Instead, the companies are spending hundreds of millions of dollars rewriting state labor law to reinforce the idea that drivers aren't employees, while using the fine print to handle private challenges.
That's been absolutely essential to Uber's and Lyft's business model. So while they've tried to race to write laws to their benefit, they've also tried to protect themselves from public litigation through the fine print of their contracts and through arbitration clauses.
That's where David's case on behalf of the three drivers ended. A superior court sent it to private arbitration. The end result isn't public.
We should also be clear about is just because you're exempt from laws governing, for example, unemployment insurance premiums, that doesn't mean you're exempt from antitrust laws and competition laws.
Federal and state enforcers aren't subject to forced arbitration agreements. They can investigate and bring enforcement actions against these rideshare companies.
It's likely also a violation of state competition law, especially in states like California that prohibit vertical price fixing. So the California Attorney General's office would also be in a prime position to investigate the issue and bring an enforcement action like that one.
But this issue of algorithmic pricing stretches beyond rideshare.
We're just at the beginning stages of what I feel is like a battle between the common folk and then that managerial class and upwards.
There's credible reporting that Walmart, Amazon, and McDonald's are all experimenting with the technology. Those companies employ over 3 million people. In July, the FTC announced it was investigating surveillance pricing. That's the practice of companies using complex algorithms and untold data points to offer personalized pricing. The fear is that prices for something like children's Tylenol will suddenly skyrocket across major online stores just because you typed infant fever into Google. Why? Because retailers know you're desperate. The FTC is investigating Walmart, Amazon.
Yeah, it's kind of like how airlines work with ticket prices. You will literally get a different freaking price if you use like a VPN. It is gross.
And the leading technology vendors. We need to do the same thing, but for wages. The power of these giants lies in their ability to keep everyone, consumers, drivers, regulators, blindfolded. They're backed by billions of dollars worth of sophisticated algorithms and legal gymnastics, leaving us to fight in the dark. Maybe there's an innocent explanation to our fair experiment, but we won't know until the federal government shines a light.
Prices spike as a hurricane approaches. Yep, but that actually is illegal, like unambiguously. You can report that. This is a little bit different. This is a little bit different. All right, folks, we got a couple of articles to go through in the effort to cut time here. 3 ex-Memphis officers charged in the killing of Tyre Nichols stand trial. The federal trial of the 3 Memphis police officers, good catch. Charged in the killing of Tyre Nichols begins on Monday. Ex-officers Tadarius Bean, Justin Smith Jr., and Demetrius Haley will stand trial for federal civil rights and conspiracy charges in connection to Nichols' death, according to an announcement from the Department of Justice. Nichols, a 29-year-old black man, was stopped by an officer for an alleged traffic violation while driving home from his work on January 7th of 2023. There should be 4 of them. Yep. After being pulled from his car, Nichols was brutally beaten by officers in an assault that was caught on video and later released to the public. Nichols died from his injuries 3 days after the attack. His death sparked national outrage as demonstrators across the country called for a prompt investigation and denounced police brutality. 2 of the former officers were also charged in the original federal indictment but have since pled guilty. Emmett Martin III pled guilty to federal witness tampering and excessive force last month. Prosecutors will request a prison sentence of no more than 40 years at Martin's December 5th sentencing, according to his plea deal. Desmond Mills Jr. pleaded guilty to federal excessive force and obstruction charges. In line with Mills' plea deal, prosecutors will recommend a 15-year prison sentence. In addition to federal charges, the 5 police officers who are all black are still facing multiple state felonies, including second-degree murder. Preston Hemphill, the white police officer who deployed the taser during Nichols' traffic stop, will not face any criminal charges. That's nice. That's cool. Hey, that's really interesting. This the dude, Michael Hassler? Like, really? That's the guy? Grew up behind Elvis's mansion, knows all about Memphis. Of course. Of course. By no means do we endorse the conduct of Hemphill at the stop involving Tyre Nichols, but like, you are, because everybody else didn't get a pass, but specifically this dude gets a pass? Yeah, okay. I think I can see why they were actually willing to criminally charge these officers. I think so. I think so. By no means do we endorse the conduct of Hemphill at the stop involving Tyre Nichols, said Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy, who's prosecuting the Nichols case in a news release last year. In this case, Hemphill did not pursue Nichols and never left the initial scene. Okay. Hemphill was fired from the Memphis Police Department following the investigation. Nichols' family is also suing the city of Memphis and Memphis Police Department, with the civil suit expected to go to trial in 2025. During the traffic stop, several police officers approached Nichols with their firearms out and pulled Nichols out of his car. Officers also shocked Nichols with a taser and pepper sprayed him. Nichols then attempted to run towards his house as officers chased him and later caught up to him. According to video footage, officers began to beat Nichols with a baton, punching him in the face, kicking him, despite Nichols screaming that he was in pain and pleading to be released. 20 minutes after he was beaten, he was transported to an area hospital where he later died. An autopsy report revealed that he died from blunt force trauma to his head. Several first responders, including the Memphis police officers and paramedics, were fired after the investigation into his death. The Justice Department announced in July that it would be investigating the city of Memphis and Memphis Police Department to determine if there are patterns of discriminatory policing. You think? Footage of the brutal beating, which was published the day after the officers were charged with murder, showed the graphic nature of the attack and gave additional insight to the role of the officers involved. The role of the officers involved in Nichols' death. Davis described the footage as perhaps worse than the infamous 1991 video of Rodney King, a black man beaten by LAPD. Whew. Wow. Yeah, that's wild that it just so happens that the one white officer does not just got off. Like, the only thing that happened to him was that he lost his job after being involved in the murder of this man. Okay, folks, we got a couple of clips, I guess, and one tweet, I guess. Wait, no. Yeah, here we are.
Support terrible. And finally, I will support modifying the 25th Amendment to make clear that if a vice president lies or engages in a conspiracy to cover up the incapacity of the President of the United States.
Lost his job or transferred to another precinct? Unclear. I think there should be a legal requirement that they can't tell the person doing the autopsy any hint of who was killed or involved in the death. That's a good point. That's a very good point. I'm not sure, Cognizant. I'm not sure if he's been hired anywhere else.
Terrible. And finally, I will support modifying the 25th Amendment to make clear that if a vice president lies or engages in a conspiracy to cover up the incapacity of the President of the United States, if you do that with a cover-up of the President of the United States, it's grounds for impeachment immediately and removal from office, because that's what they did.
But they can already do that, though. Like, you could impeach... You could impeach Kamala Harris right now. But okay. So, like, the whole point of showing this is not because whether or not it's silly, or the idea is silly, because, like, you can already do that. The whole point is that he's making it, or in his head, he's created this what he thinks he's created in his head is this specific loophole where he can target political opponents currently, and it just so happens to be that the political opponent that he's targeting is also running for president, and that's the point, that he wants to target his political opponents, and this is a pattern that is incredibly disturbing, and has repeated itself over and over and over again, and he just hasn't stopped at all. We're in September, 2 months out, and we have this, him claiming that, specifically just carving out that beautiful scenario where his opponent gets sacked. Trump now is pledging to jail opponents, basically suggests that the election will be stolen from him. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump threatened to jail people involved in unscrupulous behavior related to voting in the 2024 election. Mind you, and this is true, that hasn't happened yet, suggesting without evidence that the election could be stolen from him and prompting widespread condemnation from election officials who said such rhetoric could provoke violence. It can, and it did the last time. It can, and it did the last time. Can you imagine what could happen this time if he loses? How can we possibly be in this position? This is so stupid. He shouldn't be allowed to run. I agree. Impeachment charge equals not showing proper deferential treatment to Donald Trump. Crime against MAGA, punishable by mega death by multiple means. Exactly. Trump's remarks made in social media posting on Saturday night represent the most overt signal yet that he may not accept the results if he loses, which again is not up to him. If he loses, he loses. Trump has a history of railing against election officials and raising unsubstantiated claims of fraud when his political fortunes appear uncertain, as they do now in his extremely close race with Kamala Harris. His comments are the most direct threats he's made against those who will administer the elections this year. In reality, illegal voting is exceedingly rare, but Trump appears to be replaying his efforts to sound out about the voting process ahead of the 2020 election, actions that contributed to the deadly insurrection on January 6th at the attack on the Capitol. Quote, "When I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentence. This depravity of justice does not have..." Like, this is some, like, dystopic fucking dictator shit, okay? Like, this is not okay. Trump wrote on Saturday in his Truth Social platform, "We cannot let our country further devolve into a third world nation, and we won't. Trump, who began his message with the words cease and desist, went on to threaten, which we have the message, actually. We'll read it in a second. We'll read it in a second. Yeah, true banana Republican. Okay. Trump, who began with the message cease and desist, went on to threaten a wide range of the kinds of people who would face prosecution and prison time, including campaign donors and those involved with administering elections. Quote, please be aware that this legal exposure extends to... wait, is this going to be... Yeah, okay, we don't need to read this. David Becker founded the nonprofit Center for Election Innovation and Research, urged the public to reject Trump's inflammatory language. I can't begin to describe the abnormality and disturbing behavior that would cause a presidential candidate, a former president, to threaten public servants with mass arrest, said Becker. Previously worked... Well, I mean, like, the abnormality is that this dude's a fascist, okay? That's the abnormality. The dude's a narcissistic authoritarian who will not accept anything short of the outcome that favors him, okay? On top of that, he needs to win, and he knows it. He needs to win, and he knows it, or it's his butt on the line, right? Like, he's got all these criminal charges, all these criminal investigations, I should say, that are still there, and he needs to win so he can disband the special counsel. Just full stop. I had to make this comment on YouTube video about something close to this comment was something like, January 6th was the lowest point of the U.S. My response, I agree, but that is the second most first most is every Republican that ran out of the building with a trail of urine behind them coming back and kissed the boots of the traitors that walked in that trail of urine, the Republicans that have continued to defend these insurrectionists. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. These people are still defending it. They still refuse to acknowledge the severity of what actually happened, and have now we're now faced with the prospect of something like that or worse happening because of Trump again. Several election officials have also called the threats of violence unacceptable. Donald Trump will not accept the results of the election unless he wins, said Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. This is another step in his campaign to undermine the confidence in our elections, which has led to unprecedented threats of violence against our election officials, which is true, by the way. A spokesperson of the Trump campaign did not reply to a request for Sunday afternoon for comment on Trump's post. On Sunday, Trump doubled down on his baseless claim of election fraud, saying on Truth Social that he expects to win the key swing state of Pennsylvania by a lot unless the Democrats are allowed to cheat. Sure. Late last month, during a conversation with the Conservative Moms for Liberty group, Trump conceded that he lost the 2020 election by a whisker, marking one of the most clear public acceptances that he lost the election to Biden. Days later, he once again publicly acknowledged that he did not win the 2020 presidential election, telling podcaster Lex Friedman that he lost by a whisker. In the wake of the 2020 election, Trump and his allies pushed to overturn the results through phone calls, speeches, tweets, and media appearances in six swing states where certified results declared Biden the winner. Trump most recently began escalating his rhetoric about election fraud when Harris replaced Biden at the top of the ticket and pulled ahead in some polls. In remarks before the Fraternal Order of Police last week, the former president urged officers to patrol polling places because it would intimidate would-be cheaters. Like, that's freaking wild, man. Like, that right there should be, like, enough. Hey, Pirate Ninja, welcome. Welcome back. That right there should be enough to disqualify this dude. That is absurd that a presidential candidate is literally talking to police officers, presumably because he was being endorsed by them, to patrol polling places because it would intimidate people exercising their right to vote. That is wild. Quote, I hope you watch for voter fraud, he said. Watch for the voter fraud because we win without voter fraud. You can keep it down just by watching because, believe it or not, they're afraid of that badge. They're afraid of you people. That's wild. But while his post on Saturday falsely claimed that there was rampant cheating in the 2020 presidential race, Trump's efforts to overturn his loss in the last election faltered in multiple courts. Yeah, we know the story. We know this the story. Threats and harassment of election workers have skyrocketed since Trump and his allies began denying the results of the 2020 election, amplifying their false claims on television, podcasts, and social media. The developments have caused a mass exodus of veteran election administrators from their jobs and prompted scores of election offices around the country to harden their physical workspaces with bulletproof glass, emergency buttons, and extensive crisis training. That's just wild. Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, who was directly targeted by armed pro-Trump protesters who were gathered outside her home after the 2020 election, on Sunday told the Washington Post that no threats from Trump will dissuade her from performing her duties this election year. Benson said that her job and the job of every election official in the county is to rise above this noise and focus on continuing to ensure our elections are fair, secure, accessible, and the results continue to be an accurate reflection of the will of the people. Seth Bluestein, a Republican Philadelphia City Commissioner, said that every election official he knows is focused on doing their job well, which unfortunately now includes preparing for potential threats of violence. From your party, by the way. And Jeff Greenberg, a former director of elections in Mercer County, PA, said on Sunday that the continued demonization of election officials is disappointing, disheartening, irresponsible, and infuriating. Words matter, and this does nothing but potentially put those dedicated public servants in harm's way. It has to stop, right? But that's kind of the point, right? That's kind of the point. But a Republican official in a battleground state who spoke on the condition of anonymity because he's a coward, to talk candidly about Trump's comments, found the former president post more alarming. He sounds like he's losing it. Sad that someone should say something like replace him as a candidate. Or maybe you should do something about your party that has fallen completely down the fascist pipeline. And we'll end with the actual post. Quote, cease and desist. I, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery that has taken place by the Democrats in 2020 in the 2020 presidential election. None of that happened. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, the 2024 election where votes have just started being cast will be under the closest professional scrutiny, and when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include law and prison term sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. We cannot let our country further devolve into a third world nation, and we won't. Please be aware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels unfortunately never seen before in our country. Oh, you mean like the operatives that you employed to subvert the 2020 election? Like the election officials, like Tina Peters, right? Who's currently pled guilty? Like that? Like the illegal voters, like the Republicans who tried to vote illegally? Like the political operatives who are currently in hot water, like Roger Stone? The lawyers that you hired to make these schemes happen, who are also currently hot water? Like, man, every single accusation is just a confession with these people, I'm telling you. The poll workers, like people that are self-employed, should be document the extra costs they have to take for safety, and they should require Trump and the Republican Party to pay for it. Yeah, well. All right, folks. It is past 7 o'clock. It's It's my time to go get dinner, folks. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. Don't forget, folks, tomorrow the stream is going to be a shorter stream. So make sure to tune in. I'll try to start exactly around 5:10, around 5:10 Eastern when the music stops. And then we will head out early tomorrow and just chill out for a couple of hours until the debate happens, and then we will be in the Discord once the debate is on. We'll go to the Discord. That way we don't have any issues. Yeah, please join us on Discord. So let me get on out of here. Thank you, Kamikazion. Thank you, Footlong, and thank you for the support, guys. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you to Abond and Cognizant for the tier 1 subs. I appreciate it. If you guys want to keep supporting the channel, there are many different ways. Consider checking out the merch store. I'm really proud of that merch store. And join the Discord, folks. Join the Discord. Yes, you can also consider tipping your streamer with ! Tip. Join the Discord, folks. Keep liking the stream on YouTube. I see you guys. Keep subscribing on the YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. All right, folks. It's time for me to get out of here. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow. Remember, folks, debate night. See ya. This song still rocks. I like this one. Appreciate it. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.